Hello. If you're watching this, you're probably already concerned about climate change and are looking for ways you can make things better. So am I. As an environmental scientist, I've spent my career collecting data and communicating with the public and policymakers on ways we can lessen our impact to the environment. Like many scientists, I've been frustrated to find our data ignored and sometimes suppressed, and I realized that providing good science is not enough to make change. So I'm rebelling. I've decided to work outside of the system. If you're tired of waiting and wondering what it's going to take for governments to make things happen, I'm here to prove to you that we don't have to wait. We, the citizens of the world, have all of the skills and resources we need to make change happen now. I know the title of my talk seems ironic. Less talk, more action, after which I proceed to talk. But I promise to speak to you for only 8 minutes about projects that can remove literally tons of carbon from our oceans and atmosphere, and to tell you how you can join a team today to crowdsource these projects directly. Now that people are feeling direct impacts from climate change, more companies and communities are looking for ways to reach net zero emissions. The good news is that dedicated groups of people around the world have already identified solutions that can help. Because these solutions use the ability of marine plants to sequester large amounts of carbon, they're known as blue carbon projects. So why haven't we done this yet? Many companies are poised to scale up blue carbon projects, but they're waiting for it to become profitable. And that won't happen until governments and the international community put regulations in place to accept credits from blue carbon projects towards meeting net zero emission goals. So, in the spirit of less talk and more action, I've started an online platform to link people, projects, and resources to accelerate climate mitigation projects now. You can find it at bluecarboncatalyst.org. We've identified priority projects that will sequester large amounts of carbon at the same time that they're directly improving multiple impacts of climate change. And we'll scale them up quickly by crowdsourcing existing resources and infrastructure. You can log on to this website to learn about projects, find out what resources are needed, and join a project team to start making things happen. We're working to accelerate both small and large-scale blue and green carbon projects. People can choose the project best suited to their resources. At the individual and local scale, we're prioritizing Azolla farming and ocean farming. Growing just 1 acre of Azolla can remove 6 tons of carbon from the atmosphere in a single year. Agricultural communities would be ideal partners for these projects. Ocean farming not only sequesters carbon, it provides food and income for coastal communities. The nonprofit Green Wave has individual farming systems ready to deploy. In 1 year, a 10-acre farm can net over $100,000 at the same time that it's sequestering carbon and restoring marine habitat. And the resources needed to start one are very achievable. 20 acres of sea surface, a boat, and $20,000 to $50,000, about the cost of a new car. The perfect partners for this project are individuals or coastal communities whose fisheries are depleted and need to transition to a new way to make a living. To have a bigger impact, we need to scale up to bigger projects. We prioritize 2 areas that are already feeling significant climate impacts. Our first large-scale priority project is deploying wave-driven ocean pumps in the Atlantic along Hurricane Alley. These pumps have been developed and tested by scientists at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute and the Climate Foundation, and they're ready to deploy. They use kinetic energy from waves to pump cool, nutrient-rich water from 75 to 300 meters deep in the ocean. This upwelling stimulates phytoplankton blooms that remove carbon from the atmosphere and ocean, and they're very effective. 1 pump leads to the sequestration of about 60 tons of carbon dioxide per year and supports an increase of 1.5 tons of fish biomass per year. Equally important is that deploying these pumps in strategic areas can cool sea surface temperatures and reduce the power of storms. Modeling by the Climate Foundation shows that an array of 150 ocean pumps in Hurricane Alley can cool the local sea surface by about 1 degree Celsius. This is enough to lower peak storm winds 5 to 20%, which would reduce hurricane damages up to 50%. So, what do we need to make this happen? I asked the Climate Foundation, and they said a location next to water to build and test, a large flat working vessel, and talented engineers. None of these things are deal breakers. We can do this. We just find partners to match the resources we need. Who are the perfect partners for these projects? The petroleum industry has many installations in the Gulf of Mexico and plenty of large flat working vessels, and they already employ lots of talented engineers on site. The insurance industry would benefit greatly from this project. Each year, the expected economic losses from hurricane winds and flooding total $54 billion. This should make them an enthusiastic partner investing to deploy these systems. Other important partners are communities along the Gulf Coast who would benefit from improved fisheries and need relief from severe storms. So, how much does this cost? The first 100 meters squared is $1 million. The first 1,000 meters squared is another $1 million, and the costs go down after that. The cost for 10,000 square meters is $2 to $3 million, depending on the location. Now, this is a lot of money for most of us, but with industry partners, it's not. To put this in context, the cost of filming one episode of Game of Thrones was $15 million. When we compared these costs to the $54 billion in storm losses, $1 million per project starts to sound like a pretty good deal. Our second large-scale priority project is to deploy a network of wave-driven ocean pumps in strategic areas around the southern Great Barrier Reef, Australia. This area is currently experiencing the most widespread bleaching ever recorded, with 60% of reefs across all 3 regions affected, and many sensitive species being lost. By cooling sea surface temperatures, this project will ease heat stress and improve the survival of the local reef ecosystem. And it can help to lower onshore temperatures, which is especially vital for wildfire-prone areas like Australia. At the same time, it will be sequestering carbon and easing local ocean acidification, which is deadly to coral. These projects have the potential to immediately ease some impacts of climate change for millions of people and for ecosystems nearing tipping points. Considering the huge amount of resources humans have dedicated to developing our industrial civilization, don't we owe it to all of the inhabitants of our planet to devote at least as much effort to repairing the damage it's caused? As Christiana Figueres so eloquently stated in her TED Talk, we all need to become stubborn optimists who move past inaction and towards solutions for climate change. Join us to make a difference now and for future generations. Thank you.